Today's the day. I can no longer consider myself MAGA. Praying for Donald Trump, wish him the best, not voting Democrat. And I know everyone's going to be like, oh, like you're a traitor. Come up with some sort of nickname. They're going to cancel me, unfollow me. I don't care. What I care about is following Jesus and following the convictions that God has given me. And for Donald Trump to endorse Lindsey Graham and to have a lack of accountability in the corrupt Democrat Party, no arrest whatsoever, and the whole Jeff Epstein thing and the war, the airstrikes from Iran a year ago, the current war, although it's not a war now, stealing the oil from Venezuela, Cuba next. And it's like, dude, it's like all of this stuff. It's just like, dude, this is not even what I stand for. And that's okay. There's going to be a Republican come around that I agree with more than Donald Trump. But like today and the past several months, it has slowly gone down a road that I'm not willing to go. And moving forward, I'm just going to report the news from a unbiased opinion. I'm going to criticize Donald Trump when he does wrong. I'm going to applaud him when he does right. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the Democrats. And I love Jesus. I love America. I want America to be great. And that's why I voted for Donald Trump. But unfortunately, the direction, if it continues to go down where they're going, it's not going to be great.
Listen, as a Trump supporter, I can excuse constant lying, constant misinformation, poor business practice, mockery and degradation of immigrants, people of color, the disabled, women, children, trans people, political opponents, and even MAGA's own supporters. I can excuse failed campaign promises, mishandling of the U.S. economy, insider trading, stock market manipulation, tax increases, irrational behavior as a head of state, instigating international conflicts, bombing places and people with little to no reasoning, kidnapping foreign heads of state, starting a war, backing Israel in said war, backing Russia overall, abandoning U.S. allies, pardoning criminals domestically and abroad, loosely using the term terrorist to justify horrific acts, senile behavior with an on and offline presence, sexual assault of women and children, being in the Epstein files, hiding the Epstein files, erasing the Epstein files, lying about the Epstein files, starting a war to prevent people from talking about the Epstein files, downplaying the severity of the Epstein files, talking about staying in office longer than allowed, violating and / ignoring checks and balances, and ordering his own personal military to target, shoot, and deport his own citizens. But I draw the line at depicting himself as Jesus Christ in an AI image.
It's happening. Trump supporters are finally realizing that he is a con man that doesn't care about affordability, that his sole purpose is to protect his fragile ego and to enrich himself and his cronies. The New York Times did a focus group on 2024 Trump voters. Pop this up. A New York Times focus group found that 9 of 12 Trump voters regret supporting him, with many giving his second term failing grades. Asked how they're feeling about the country in one word, members of the focus group said the following. Let's go to the next slide. Worried, anxious, frustrated, annoyed, discouraged, surprised and discouraged, concerned, apathetic, and betrayed. And now we have gas prices that are hitting 4-year highs. Pop this up. New York Times gas prices in the U.S. have hit their highest level in 4 years. Tuesday's jump was the biggest increase in more than a month as negotiators deadlocked over reopening the Strait of Hormuz. So here's the thing. Yes, everybody's anti-Trump. 9 out of 12 Trump voters are anti-Trump. We have to be an opposition party that is more than anti-Trump. We have to be a party that delivers for people, that can capture voters, that can capture back the working class. And here to join me today to discuss this is Congressman Greg Casar, the representative from Texas's 35th Congressional District and chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, with a major announcement. Congressman, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Jennifer. Thanks for talking about this today.
All right. So tell us about what your caucus is announcing today and how it will make a difference in the lives of Americans, because Trump has only made Americans' lives worse, far worse.
Yeah, we are launching our new affordability agenda today. Like you said earlier, we all know that Donald Trump lied to his own voters, lied to the country when he said he was going to bring prices down, when all he's done is jack prices up and enrich himself. Now he's calling making things more affordable a hoax. And so now, as Democrats, we've got to say we are actually going to make things cheaper, make life more affordable for the everyday person. Because yes, we've got to be anti-Trump, but we also have to be pro-working person. So this agenda is what Democrats could actually stand for. A lot of people are saying, what are you for? And the agenda the Progressive Caucus is laying out today is we're anti-Trump, but we're also anti-corporations screwing you over, anti-rich folks that have made more and more money by jacking up your prices. So it's the kind of agenda that can lower utility bills, lower your housing costs, lower your grocery bills, and say, let's stop cozying up to these special interests as a party and instead start focusing on those voters that are disappointed in Donald Trump, whether they're Republican or Democratic.
Let's talk about how the Republican Party for years, before Trump, since Ronald Reagan, has had this dismissive, demeaning attitude towards working class people. Colleagues in the Congress have said, well, if you want, better insurance, get a better job or get a second job. Or the agriculture secretary is like, yeah, we know eggs are expensive. Get you some chickens, poor people. And it's really disgusting for how many decades the Republican Party has treated working class people, yet they've captured them. They've captured their vote because in this exchange for, yeah, you get to be poor, they also say you get to be racist. And they scapegoat people. How do we have a progressive party that comes back and recaptures?
I know that people are not going to like listening to this, but honestly, stick around and listen to it because it's going to be beneficial for everyone if we, at the very least, understand what's happening. We know that MAGA voters, supporters are leaving in droves, right? The entire movement is melting down. But I feel like we don't really hear too often, except for the super loud ones on social media, right? The exact reason behind these people coming to the realization that what they did was a mistake. But a recent group interview with a bunch of regretful Trump supporters from the New York Times, and this is not by any means giving the New York Times any praise or credit because they fucking suck. But I do think that looking at this can at least put us into the headspace of why these people did this, why they regret it, and how they currently think on things ranging from the economy to what we're doing over in Iran to the Epstein files, which again, you may not like hearing. I certainly did not like reading it. I was like, how can you be clear-headed on this, but then not on this? But my point still stands that at least knowing about it helps us gauge what's really going on. And then we can use that to our advantage in the midterms. And this one is a great first example of what I was just talking about, with these people being clear-headed on one thing Trump does and very clearly able to see how it's wrong, but then they still turn around and overall support him. This woman named Michelle, who was interviewed, says that she can recognize that what she did was foolish and that everything her friends on the other side of the aisle said would happen are happening. But then she loses the plot later on saying, I really believe that if he had just done the things he said he was going to do, he would have been a great president. Completely ignoring that he literally is doing what he said he was going to do. Y'all just didn't want to see it and clearly still don't. Another woman who was interviewed named Pamela kind of expressed the same thing, saying she started noticing the other people around her who were mostly conservative kind of like side-eyeing each other and being like, oh, wait, I think we made a big mistake. But at the same time, she's not personally embarrassed. She's just embarrassed for what the country is going through, seemingly not arriving at that point yet where she realizes she had a part in that. And then more on that theme of kind of like getting it through their heads, this guy, Jose, explains that he started to kind of see things were going not how he expected them to when Trump started doing the ICE deportations and separating families, even saying that his teenage daughter asked him, why did you vote for him, Dad? And that broke his heart every time. But in the same way that the other two did, he's still kind of scapegoating and not taking that personal accountability, saying, well, I didn't think he was going to do this, so I regret what he's doing, but I didn't want him to do that. And then where Iran and Israel are concerned, I found these two answers really interesting because they both come from independent Latino men. who, to my surprise, seem to be very, very clear-headed about what exactly is going on over there. With the top guy, Daniel, saying every single time there's peace talks, Israel just has to intervene and attack the country. The evil in the Middle East, in that whole area, is Israel. I think Israel's doing what they say was done to them. And the second guy on the bottom, Jose, here, saying the evil in the Middle East is Israel. We shouldn't be in Iran. They don't have a nuclear weapon. And remember here, even though they're independent, these are Trump 2024 voters. And then with regards to Epstein, this person interviewed named Michelle said, it bothers the hell out of me. We're still cloaking and protecting people of power just because they're people of power. And then hearing from Miss Pamela again saying, it's just normal. It's like a boys club. They just cover up everything and they keep their friends out of it. And then y'all, this kind of gagged me. Though I voted for Obama, I don't see him doing that. I don't see Reagan doing that. Kind of alluding to this concept that we all know, right? Like, this is not politics as normal. Yeah, it's become extremely horrifically normalized, but it seems they're kind of starting to get that concept of Trump is not just a regular leader that people are over-exaggerating about. And again, y'all, I'm not saying this to say that we have to forgive these people or give them the benefit of the doubt or embrace them with open arms. No. I'm merely just saying that there is stuff in what they're saying that we can use to help ourselves. The walls are very much closing in. The rats are very much jumping ship, as I just laid out. And no, we don't have to necessarily offer them a spot on our lifeboat, but we can at least get in the water with a mic and be like, hey, why'd you jump? Let me know what you guys think. Did any of these answers surprise you? Let me know in the comments. And as those walls continue to close in, be sure to do all the things you can to push this out to get people more aware. Like, repost, share with a friend, comment those thoughts, and follow me for more like this, because there's gonna be more.
Hey, so I'm finally leaving MAGA. This is finally becoming a problem for me.
Oh, what caused that? I am never forgiving you.
I'm just tired of the lies. I'm tired of being personally affected.
Well, I'm glad you're seeing him for who he really is. He's been this way the whole fucking time.
So it's a real shame we let politics come between us. I miss being invited to your parties.
Right. It wasn't politics, it was morality. So the midterms are coming up. Any thoughts on what you're gonna do there?
I'm so mad, I'm not voting for any of these bastards. I'm not voting in November, but the next time I vote, I will vote for a person like him.
Okay.
So maybe we can hang out this weekend? MAGA is less fun to hang out with. Let me hang out with you and your friends, please.
Oh, I'm busy, but maybe another time. I would rather chew glass.
Call me! Why isn't she throwing me a parade?
So we've been seeing a few folks on social media who are leaving MAGA. And they're upset because of how they're being treated. They feel like they're putting themselves out there. They've left the cult. They're trying to educate people and they're sharing their journey of what it's like to leave a cult. And they don't understand why everybody is lashing out at them. And, you know, everybody has the right to lash out any way they feel. We're in an existential threat. A lot of us have been hurt personally, some groups more than others. Our Constitution is under an existential threat. But for me, there's two different types of leaving MAGA folks. The first kind is the kind I have no respect for. They're leaving MAGA because Republicans, Trump policies have impacted them personally. Maybe they were let go because they worked for the government. They were part of the Doge cuts. Maybe somebody they know was scooped up by ICE and that never was. It's so me-centric why they're leaving MAGA that they deserve every right to be attacked, right? The other kind, it's a smaller percentage. They are literally waking up from the intoxication of a cult, the mind control of a cult. And they're out here talking about the journey, all the relationships they're losing, how their whole reality that they were thrust into by Fox News and right-wing propaganda is shattered. And now they've got to explore this new reality. And I got to tell you, they're going through deconstructing of religion, of the MAGA cult, and it's really deep stuff that they're sharing. And for me, I know that this MAGA cult is not going anywhere. It's going to probably be here forever. It'll change names, but the money and the power to keep it going is always going to be there. And it's the latter group of leaving MAGA that I think that we got to be careful, because we do want to elevate them into some kind of leadership role in terms of pulling other people out of MAGA. Like they're going to be the pipeline out. So yeah, I just want to share that.
MAGA supporters, they are saying before Donald came to our office, they were better. Now they don't have jobs. They are looking for their jobs. Now they are regretting why they voted for Trump.
Okay, liberals, some of you aren't going to like this, but it needs to be said. These MAGA people who are finally saying that they're done with Trump, you need to start encouraging those people. I've been seeing a ton of videos where former diehard Trump supporters are publicly walking away, and instead of welcoming that, liberal creators are stitching those videos just to trash those guys, saying things like, "It's too late. You're the reason we're here. All the signs were there. It was an open book test." We know. All of that might be true, but this is not the moment for that. If the goal is actually fixing things, not just winning arguments online, then every conservative who denounces Trump is a net positive. What you're doing right now is the political version of yelling at someone the moment they leave an abusive relationship. The worst thing you can do is shove them away or tell them to F off. Because when you do that, people don't magically become more enlightened. They go back to what feels familiar. They go back to the abuser. They go back to the lie. If you want real change, you have to encourage these people when they finally break away. It honestly doesn't matter how or why they broke away. Yes, it's frustrating that some of them ignored ICE. They ignored Epstein. They ignored a long list of very real and very serious issues. And sure, maybe it was Greenland that finally did it. That part is annoying. I get it. But most people don't flip overnight because of one headline. They flip because doubt has been stacking up for a long time, and then something finally gives them permission to admit it. If you punish people for when they wake up instead of welcoming the fact they did, all you're doing is making it harder for the next person to leave. Late is still better than never. This isn't about forgiveness. It's about momentum. And the more people who break away, late, early, messy, or imperfect, the better it is for everyone.
Girl, you voted for him 3 times. You may not be MAGA anymore, but you are MAGA adjacent, okay? That means that you will vote for the same policies, but a different candidate, okay? Honestly, I believe you would vote for J.D. Vance right now, okay? But I digress, okay? And then you come out here to tell us about it. What did you want us to do? You want us to welcome you in, hold your hand, sing "We Are the World"? Like, girl, please, okay, save those white woman tears, okay? You voted for him 3 times. Like, honestly, I would not have given you a pass back in 2016, let alone today. Like, this household is a no refunds policy household, okay? Your apology is denied. And I'm still not convinced when it's time for you to go vote again that you won't vote for the same policies, okay? Just because you can't vote for that man again, I'm still not convinced that you won't vote for J.D. Vance or any one of his other lapdogs, okay?
I left MAGA, and here's why. My name is Jenny, and I am former MAGA. I'm 51 years old. I've only been out of MAGA for 2 years. So I spent the first 49 years of my life in the alt-right, Christian nationalist, white supremacist, prepping community, eventually becoming a Mormon trad wife. And now I've had a very significant change to my life, my ideology, and my politics. A couple months ago, I decided I wanted to write a breakup letter with Donald Trump right after the inauguration. I did actually email this to the White House and print up a paper copy, put a stamp on it, and mail it to President Trump. Has not responded to it, but I just want to read my breaking up with Donald Trump / MAGA letter for you. I sort of wrote this in the tone of like a middle school girl because they're the queens of breakups, right? Hey, Donald. I know you're busy burning food for Gaza and spray tanning, but I needed to sit you down for a minute and talk about us. This isn't easy. We've been together for a while. I stood by you when everyone said you were unhinged. I defended you at Thanksgiving dinners with my Mitt Romney and Joe DeSantis friends and family. I wore the damn hat. I waved the flag. I thought we were building something real. But the truth is, I was in love with a version of you that never actually existed. So yeah, I'm breaking up with you. I left MAGA, and here's why. Number one, you love bombed me, then discarded me, and it feels like I'm going to get whiplash. In the beginning, you swept me off my feet. You told me you drained the swamp. You said you'd protect the little guy. You promised to bring jobs back and make America great again. You talked tough, and I thought that meant strength. But it was all a show, wasn't it? Turns out you didn't drain the swamp. You are the swamp. You didn't protect the little guy. You handcuffed him in the middle of his kindergarten graduation while giving tax breaks to billionaires. And all that greatness, it was smoke and mirrors, staged for the cameras. I thought you loved America, but really you just love attention. You did all of this so that you could stand on the balcony of the White House with jets flying overhead wearing that dumb red tie and misshapen suit so you could post some good selfies to your ex feed. Number two, I lost myself in you. Do you know what it's like to wake up and realize you don't recognize yourself anymore? I used to sort of care about character, about kindness, about truth. But somewhere along the way, after George W. left office, right after Obama.
This just in. MAGA is turning on Trump so fast, I mean quick. And this is absolutely huge news. And it's all over his AI photo of him depicting himself as Jesus Christ. They are now calling him the Antichrist, and it's literally everywhere. Everyone in MAGA is posting stuff online. Here are some of the comments. Trump is depicting him as Jesus, God now. And in Revelation, you know who does that? The Antichrist. And here's another. This is incredibly disturbing, Don. And on another post, I'm officially 100% done. So this is not, I mean, think about it. People are absolutely upset. They are now calling him the Antichrist, and he's doing it to himself. He's absolutely ruining the Republican Party and their chance in the midterm. You are talking his MAGA base, his diehard followers are leaving and posting everywhere all about how upset they are with this picture of him being Jesus.
This is sarcastic, hilarious, it's paradox, it is wicked fun. I guess I need to call the Pope in here. We need to pray.
This is going to be a long video. It's also going to be filled with nuance, but I want to be very clear from the jump. I never voted for Trump. I'm also a white woman. I understand this is a place of privilege, but I also am someone who works in communications, who works in messaging, and also works in like political messaging. So I want to talk about this whole, where do we stand on people who are now saying, oops, I shouldn't have voted for Trump. Let's start off on the basics. If you voted for the dude 3 fucking times, you do not get to tell marginalized groups of people how they get to respond now that you are saying, oops, I made a mistake because finally it caught up to you. Things should not have to affect you in order for you to care about them. I understand that part of this deconstructing is not just deconstructing your political worldview, but also your entire, like the way that you have previously thought the entire world worked, which is a huge thing for you to do. However, your vote has literally caused marginalized groups, which means people of color, LGBTQIA plus people, disabled people, anyone who isn't a white, straight, cis, able-bodied man to die. Okay? So you need to learn to shut the fuck up and listen. I'm hoping that maybe if it comes from someone who looks like you, maybe you'll listen. So as someone who works in political messaging, I am very interested, and we talk about this a lot at work. Is it more worth our time to try to capture people who did not vote and who don't really pay attention to politics? Is it more worth it for us to try to capture their attention than it is to try to change people's minds? To me, it is very rare for people who voted for this person 3 times to change their minds. In fact, I think that the people who voted for him 3 times are more likely to dig their heels in, especially at this point, especially with all of the evidence and the files and the this and the Iran. And like at this point, if you are going to continue to dig your heels in, it feels like a waste of my time and yours. So I am more interested in trying to get the 20 million Americans who were eligible to vote to try to get politically involved in not just the presidential elections, but the off-year elections, the midterm elections, the ones that, quite frankly, are going to count a lot, especially right now. What I am also very interested in hearing from these people who have changed their minds, which is why I'm not, and I know I'm about to say something that requires a lot of nuance on the internet, so I apologize. Please listen to me. I am interested in hearing from these people, which is why I really like to repost that stuff from the Leaving MAGA account. I find what they have to say really, really interesting, is because I like to know what it was that got them to start to question their worldview and what actually got them to the point where they felt like, yeah, this isn't working for me anymore. Because once this person is not in office, we all know that this isn't going away. Okay. Right-wing machine is only going to continue to invest and trying to grow and trying to recruit people. If you haven't watched the Shiny Happy People documentary, it's the one about the Duggars and that whole situation, but it's really not. I so encourage everyone to go watch it, about how this is an orchestrated, purposeful thing to try to get right-wing Christian nationalists into every level of government. It's really, really fascinating. And this person, Maria Comstock, she posted something very, very interesting. So you can read the whole thing. Go ahead. But like, the most important thing is the left offers $2,000 for one video. The right, $36,000 for one video. Okay. So there is a concerted effort from one side to recruit for their side versus the left. Okay. We are going to have to know how to counteract what the right is doing, so that way we do get more people on our side. I do think that the yelling and the I told you so and the shaming and all of that other stuff, whether or not you and I agree that we're right and that they shouldn't have done that, and you know, that their vote caused harm and all of the things that I said at the beginning of this video. Saying it, I don't know if it is productive. That is what I'm offering. Can feel it. I don't know if it is productive to say it. But again, to the white people, the white women especially, that are coming out and saying, I regret my vote for Trump, I really need you to stop centering yourself in this conversation. You really need to talk about what you are doing moving forward. And I really need you to talk about the things that I just said about, like, what can we do to fight against the fascism? What are the things that we can do to change other people's minds? The things that can deprogram other people, and not make it about boo-hoo, everybody's bullying you. Because people are dead because of your vote, Christina. Your feelings do not matter at this moment. I hope people can see the two sides and the nuance that I'm trying to say here. I don't want to give the people that are coming out about this like too much credit, but I do think that we can't do the thing that we do as the left and cannibalize and pile on and, you know, I told you so, to the point where people are now afraid of changing their minds. That's what I'm trying to say.
People leaving the MAGA movement. And do you want to know what did it this time? AI, Donald Trump, Jesus. Yeah, that's what did it. So they made it through all of the violations of human rights in the United States for the past year. I covered a lot of those previous video, but since then they have made it through our support of a Zionist regime trying to take over the world. Is that not blasphemy? How about the little girls who, I'm talking little, like 3 to 12-year-old girls who are being SA'd in ICE concentration camps, and 12-year-old girls are turning up pregnant, and they're not sure if it's the ICE officers or other people in the concentration camps that are impregnating these children. I have my guess for who it is. So you made it past baby eating pedophiles, right? Kept it rolling. That was cool. You made it past. The only people being fired from the administration so far are Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi, the women, right? Because that's what happens when you uphold the patriarchy, right? But AI, Jesus, as Donald Trump, that's what did it. That's what did it. Not ICE raids, not our support of people across the world who are letting babies be chopped in half and SAing everyone that they possibly can, right? In Gaza, they are just absolutely terrorizing the world. You kept with it through our war in Iran, full support for that. You were cool with that. Not wanting any other country to have nuclear weapons, like that's any of our business at all. We are not the world's police, okay? And you cannot hear an eagle screech every time you bomb a school full of little girls, because that is apparently something that you made it through too, right? The death of 165, or around 200 little girls in a school, at school. But I already know you don't care about that, because plenty of our own kids get at their own schools here in the United States, and you would rather keep your white trash AR-15 in your shitty gun safe in your trailer than have safety for any children in this world. We all know you don't care about safety for children in this world, but this is what did it. Donald Trump is AI Jesus, right? This is what did it. This is what stopped you from being a part of this beautiful America First movement. Right? Not our affordable healthcare being taken away, not this spike of almost double in gas prices in 2 weeks, right? Not the spike in the cost of groceries, not our farmers not being supported last year when their crops were failing, and our insurance, that the USDA insurance that generally covers that decided to just not. That didn't do it. Here's the thing. I am not a believer of God and Jesus and all of that. I have read a lot of religious texts in my days, and how I understand Jesus, my interpretation is that Jesus is kind of the first barefoot hippie, all right? Jesus was really kicking it with the lepers and the whores. Good dude. And if I have to think about it, and if all of this that you believe in is actually real, right? I am on the fast track for the Golden Gates, okay? You are going to burn for eternity for standing idly by, not only standing idly by, but standing in full support for an entire regime's abuse of the world. You will burn, and you deserve to. There is nothing about this administration that Jesus wouldn't find blasphemous. Not a single thing. And to do all of these awful atrocities, abominations across the globe in the name of Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, you are also fucked. Start tanning. Get used to the heat. So for all of this to happen, we are expected, as a group of actually legitimately kind human beings, to open our arms in full support and happiness that these people have left this horrific, disgusting, horrible ideology that they have supported, right? Because of biblical blasphemy, right? No, absolutely not. They can get fucked. Right? There's a lot of work to do. We'll see how you guys act in the next election. My guess is poorly. But to end this on a lower note than where we started, there is still a little bit of support for this freak show. Okay? A little bit. Polls are looking at around 30 to 40%. It's low. It's pathetic. They're all pathetic. But the ones who are still hanging in there are in full belief because Donald Trump said so, because he said so, he doesn't lie, that this is a photo of him as a doctor. Yeah, a doctor who heals people with his hands, with a doctor standing right next to him. A real doctor. But she's a woman, so maybe she didn't really know what she was doing. Burn in hell.
Trump is now aware of our Leaving MAGA billboards. Hey everybody, Rich here at Leaving MAGA at leavingmaga.org. I know that you guys have seen all of our articles and socials about our billboards that have been going up across the country. We had one that went up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and there was local media who did a story and they asked the White House for a comment, and the White House did offer a comment. And we think that it's fascinating that the White House felt the need to offer a comment about our billboard, which reads, "Having doubts, you're not alone." So it means that we are now on the radar of the president, and we've got so many more billboards that are going to be going up. Let us know if you've got an area that you think we should be putting a billboard up in, and we'll take a look at it. You know, we've got boards coming up in Florida. We've got Miami. We've got Palm Beach, including 3 miles away from Mar-a-Lago. And then we've got some other locations across the country that we're looking at. But I wanted all of you to know that thanks to you and thanks to all of your support, the president now knows about the Leaving MAGA billboards. So we have all of you to thank for that. And we are grateful for your support. Make sure you're following us at our socials. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter at leavingmaga.org. As always, thanks for watching.
I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but a lot of people are saying they're leaving MAGA now and they're angry at Trump. And I'm like, why all of a sudden they're talking about the Iran war and Trump getting involved? Some people are complaining that the groceries, inflation, gas prices, the economy pretty much has not improved. Like Trump promised day one, he was going to lower everything, make all your dreams come true, all the bullshit. So a lot of people are realizing that the economy is not improving. I mean, I don't know what you MAGAs do when you go to the grocery store. You look the other way, pretend that the prices aren't going up for the most things, the most items. A few items have gone down, but not significantly where you can say, wow, I can really feel in my wallet that things are improving. So I guess the last straw for MAGA was the war. That Trump might be getting into a war and MAGA can handle it, can stand it, because they don't want another war. And Trump promised no wars. But you MAGAs were okay when he said, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Jimmy goes to school. 4 days later, he comes back with an operation and he's now Julie. All these lies, you guys were okay with it. So you're okay. I mean, you're leaving MAGA. You're abandoning Trump. You're mad at Trump. But you're still racist? You're still homophobic? Xenophobic? You're still enjoying seeing immigrants being deported, families separated, people crying on the streets because their family are being torn apart, and you guys are, that's what I voted for. So you're leaving MAGA with all that baggage, right? So you're not changing. You're the same. It's just because you're mad at Trump, right? You're not realizing, wow, I was in the cult. Wow, I can't believe that I had that perception against the LGBTQ. So you're not acting like that, right, MAGA? The thing was the war. Oh, and the grocery price is not going down, but the war did it, right? Everything else, you're going to take it with you. You're going to still be you. Yeah, no, that's not going to fly.
Donald Trump's own supporters are now turning on him after he attacked a number of high-profile MAGA commentators online today. And this is all taking place on Truth Social, Donald Trump's own social media platform. For example, this person says, "What? You are way out of line. Most of these people, especially Alex Jones, have been your day ones." Or this person says, "So we can only listen to Mark Levin for news? These people helped you get elected. You are actively alienating your base every day. This is sad." And there's so many more. People saying in all caps, "Lost my support. What in the world is is wrong with you. And you can pause to read these if you like. This person as well saying, you just lost my support, Mr. President. This one saying, I can't, I'm done, DJT. You're just a man and I've done all that I can to support you and stand up for you, but this is enough. And finally, this person says, they all supported you until you rug pulled the American people. This one saying, WTF is this rambling? This one even saying, Charlie Kirk would be on that list too now, I bet. When Trump's own supporters are turning on him on his own social media platform, that's how you know things are bad. This MAGA civil war that's taking place is getting worse for them by...
Not to state the obvious, but as someone who's former MAGA and left the MAGA cult in 2020, these people who are denouncing Trump and leaving MAGA are still racist, homophobe, transphobe, bigots, you name it. They still have the same beliefs. Like, they can air their grievances, denounce Trump all they want. But I'm speaking from personal experience that when I left MAGA in 2020, hated Trump, couldn't fucking stand him. My eyes were opened. I had gotten educated, deconstructed my religion, all the things. My whole story is on my page. I still fucked up and voted for him in 2020 because Democrats bad, you know. I don't know what the answer is. Like, I'm not saying don't be mean to them. I'm not saying praise them. I'm just saying be aware that deconstruction has not started. Simply denouncing Trump is not deconstruction. So, like, that's the thing. Because if an election was today or even 6 months from now, like the midterms, they are most likely going to make the wrong decision again. So at this point, we still can't depend on these people. We still have to continue to do the work we've been doing, but don't get your hopes up that these people are going to help us with the blue wave or anything like that. And if you're someone who's leaving MAGA and you're watching this and you're offended by me saying that you are still racist, transphobic, homophobic, or whatever, that is your issue. That's your biggest core problem that you need to just stop and like just self-reflect. Because you might be saying, well, you were MAGA, so that means you were racist and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I was. That's MAGA. Like, you're not in MAGA and not those things. It just doesn't work that way. So if you are somebody who's leaving MAGA and you want somebody to like commiserate with, maybe share your thoughts, you know, talk it out or learn from my experience, follow me. You can DM me. My DMs are open. But you haven't simply deconstructed just because you've denounced Trump. And there's a lot of work to do. And I'm not trying to turn you into a woke, liberal, leftist, commie, Marxist, whatever the fuck. I'm just trying to help you be a decent human being who votes for the betterment of society and not for a fucking cult leader. Because here's the thing, is if you don't look inward and reflect on the decisions that you've made and truly understand that the path you're on is just going to result in the same thing. What I mean is you're going to vote for the next Republican in the 2028 election or the 2026 midterms. Like, let's say the 2028 election, and let's say it's Vance. You're just doing the same shit again. So I'm here to help. I'm willing to do the work with you, help guide you if you need it. If you're not MAGA and never have been MAGA, and you're watching this and you're like, yeah, whatever, I'm not doing shit, that's fine. I don't blame you. But as somebody, like I said, who's former MAGA, that's what my whole platform's about. So yeah, this is getting kind of long. Just wanted to say, don't get your hopes up. Deconstruction is a very long process, and it has not started just because someone says that they denounce Trump.
I want to make something very clear. The only reason you're leaving MAGA is because your little life isn't going the way you thought it would under Donald Trump. But you don't give two shits about all the people you hurt with those votes.
Here's why we should welcome former MAGA supporters. Hey everybody, Rich here at Leaving MAGA at leavingmaga.org. I get a lot of comments all the time from friends and family of those in MAGA who say to me, Rich, why do we need to be the ones to welcome former MAGA supporters? They've caused harm. They've created all this chaos as a result of their votes. And if you feel that way, I understand why you feel that way. But I want to encourage you to not hold a grudge. I've said many times before that every time in our country's history that we have been in a crisis situation, the way that we've gotten through it is by having unlikely but necessary alliances. And I think that anti-MAGA people joining forces with those who used to be MAGA is one of those unlikely but necessary alliances that we need to continue to cultivate and develop to save our democracy and to challenge everything that the Trump administration does that is unconstitutional and unlawful. So if you're feeling right now angry and upset at people in MAGA, I get it. I fully understand where you're coming from. I know why you feel exasperated. But for those who decide to leave and take responsibility, I'm asking you to please remember that if we can form alliances with people who used to be in MAGA, that's how we move the country forward. That's how we continue to find progress as we move our country ahead. So appreciate you watching. As always, thanks so much for your support, everyone. Our memoir has been doing really well. So for those of you out there who have purchased a copy, thank you. If you have not and you want a copy, we are now in bookstores other than Amazon. Make sure you're visiting our site at leavingmaga.org, following us on our socials, and make sure you're subscribed to our newsletter. As always, appreciate you watching, everyone. Thanks for your support.
At this point, I have shared my entire story of how I left the MAGA cult in 2020. And I realized I have never done like a full-length video where I tell my story in one go. I have given a testimonial to the Leaving MAGA organization. I am featured in their memoir, but I have never gotten on here and like just gave my whole story in one go. It's kind of difficult because there's a lot of moving parts. A lot of things are hard for me to remember, but I'm going to give it a shot. This is probably going to be a long video, so before you comment, please just watch. And then if you have questions, if I missed anything, I'll just start over and make videos answering your questions. I have tons of videos where I have answered people's questions about my whole story, but here it goes. So as we all know, Donald Trump came around in 2014, 2015 for his bid to run for president. I did not know who Donald Trump was before he ran for president. So please miss me with the Donald Trump has always been bad. I've always hated him. I did not know who this man was. I was also 20 years old in 2016, I believe. Yeah, I was 20 years old. And I grew up conservative Christian. I'm from a small town in Kansas, and everyone around me was MAGA. I was raised by a racist father. I was raised to be racist. Any empathy that I may have had inherently or had taught to me was like metaphorically beat out of me just by how I was raised. I was not an empathetic person. I didn't go around like saying racist things, but I definitely had underlying like racist beliefs. I was not a good person, and I'll just like bold face just say that now. So hopefully you're still with me. When I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, I did not do any research. I just knew that I was conservative Christian. I was mostly just like anti-abortion. That was like my biggest thing. And Donald Trump has had different stances on abortion throughout the last 10 years. At the time, he was not pro-choice or anything. He was anti-abortion. And so I was like all for that. Plus, like I said, everybody around me was MAGA. I did not have any critical thinking skills. I just went with what I knew. I wasn't going to question authority. That was all like beat into me. You do not question male authority. Everyone around me was MAGA, especially the men in my life, my community. So I just didn't think otherwise. I don't know what else to say about that. I also at the time was like very hyper religious. I had joined the military because I wanted to serve God and country. I was going through like religious psychosis basically at one point. And so like that has an effect. But I voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Did not educate myself, nothing. Then in like 2018, 2019, I started actually getting into politics, but it was of course more right leaning. I started listening to, like even maybe like early 2020 ish. I don't know. It's kind of murky. I was listening to like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Laura Ingraham, Megyn Kelly, all those people. Like, and you know what? Joe Rogan. The people that Joe Rogan was platforming at the time were definitely MAGA and very pro-Trump or like conspiracy theorists. And I was like diving deep into all of that shit. I was not ever someone who like went to rallies and wore merch. I didn't like pay attention to Donald Trump. And that's always the thing that people don't believe is like, how did you not pay attention to Donald Trump? He, you know, for whatever reason. I just listened to political pundits. I may have seen Donald Trump on the news whenever I like this 2018 era because I was actually actively paying attention. Like before that, I didn't watch the news or anything. So I may have seen clips of him, but like, you know, the media shows what they show. Doesn't, especially when you're watching Fox News, you're going to see what they want you to see. And so I was more so listening to these political pundits who were tickling some part of my brain that affirmed the MAGA ideology, right? Again, I was not a good person. I was a bigot, a racist, all the things. I don't know what else to say about that again. But when 2020 came around, I left my small town and moved to where I live now into a bigger area. I started my education in like late 2019. So I was going through engineering school, learning how to think critically, learning how to research, really just learning again how to think critically. Like that was like the big thing. Engineering school definitely teaches, college teaches you how to think critically, just in general. And so I've expanded my circles. I'm around people that are different than me. I'm experiencing a whole different world from my small town. I'm learning how to think critically. I'm being more critical of the voices that I'm listening to at the time. So like I started questioning things. You know, nothing had to happen to me. Like a policy didn't have to affect me for me to start waking up. I also started deconstructing my religion. That confuses a lot of people, but I was very Christian conservative, and that's a whole other topic that I'd have to go into again. But like my church didn't teach empathy. I've talked about that in videos. It was a very brimstone and fire, doomsday, hell for, you know, not being the perfect Christian, like it just all the stuff, right? Like people are going to say, what church doesn't teach empathy? My church did not teach empathy. And whenever I was going through all of this, I didn't go to church, but I still carried a lot of that with me. So, I was deconstructing my religion. That helped tremendously. Going to school helped tremendously, and leaving my small town. All of that was happening within like a year period. And I started to wake up. So during 2020, I was watching the press briefings that Donald Trump was holding every single day about C-19. And this was the first time I'd actually like paid attention to Donald Trump, like, hearing him speak, Hearing him say all the ridiculous things that he says, racist things, bigoted things, dumb things. And I, at this point, had already like left MAGA, because I was like I said, critically thinking, but it really like sealed the deal watching him every day, trying to get updates on C19. And that's when I I guess had my awakening moment and realized that I had no longer been a part of the cult. And but it doesn't end there. So of course there's an election in 2020, and I voted for him again. I did. And the explanation behind that, if you care, because like I said, I left the MAGA cult. I was no longer I did not like Donald Trump, but I thought I was a libertarian. And I'm about to run out of time, so I gotta hurry. I thought I was a libertarian, and Democrats were still evil. And so I picked the lesser of two evils. Again, did not do any research. I just did not like Joe Biden because Joe Biden was a Democrat. That's literally the only way I can explain it. But yeah, so I did vote 2 times. And then I have voted blue since then. I voted blue in the 2022 midterms, voted for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. And yeah, so if I missed anything, something's not adding up, you have any more questions, please let me know. I'm about to run out of time. This is a very long video, but
this past week, somebody on X, Twitter, whatever the hell we're calling it these days, posted a billboard in Iowa that reads, "Having doubts, you're not alone," and plugs a website basically dedicated to helping Trump supporters, cultists, whatever they are, leave MAGA if they want to leave MAGA. And there are some really interesting stories. You can actually go to this website and you can see some of these, but I'm going to show you some of them. Interesting stories of people, including, this one is super fascinating. Okay, a woman by the name of Victoria. I'm going to play it for you. She was not aware. She didn't even know January 6th happened. And when she found out about it, she was done. Okay, so listen to what she has to say.
I'd been assigned to watch a PBS documentary about January 6th. I remember them talking about the Proud Boys, and I was like, what are the Proud Boys? What is this? And watching that documentary, I learned a lot of really, really not so nice truths about Trump. And that led me down this path of asking questions. Did this really happen? Could I have context on this? At the core of MAGA, I believe that people want to love America, not the America that is, but the idea of America, right? And I love the idea of America. So to think that people could go and assault the foundations of what this country is, they preach constitutionalism, but then disregard it when it does not suit them. And that was a big breaking point for me. What were the contradictions? Once I saw them, there were so many contradictions.
Look, I think people out there might say, how did she not know about January 6th? Be quiet. That's not the question to be asking right now. The question is, people like her, this is a great website. It's who needs to know more information about what this guy is actually about? Who may not watch MS Now. They may not watch Midas Touch or listen to it. They may not listen to Pod Save America, whatever else it may be, and allow for a bridge for these people to walk over it to the side that is not supporting somebody who played a role in January 6th. So that, I think, is super interesting.
Easier the more I talked about leaving MAGA.
So everyone has seen this already, and I'm very late to the party. But the thing is that I saw this when it first came out, and I wanted to respond, but I didn't quite know what to say. I needed some time to digest and think about it. And I need to think about it for anybody that is recovering MAGA. I mean, if there is such a thing. Now, I think it shows great strength and character when you can recognize that you are wrong and you want to change and you're vocal about it. That takes a lot of strength. That takes a lot of courage. Because it's not easy. It's embarrassing to admit that things like that have happened to you. And it's embarrassing to admit that you got sucked into a fervor, But on the other hand, this fervor just, was the call of racists and homophobes, transphobes, and misogynists. And, if you voted for Trump 3 times, that says more about who you are as a core individual than who you are now. And while I can respect that you have changed, and I want that to be true, and I want to see you happy now, or that you've embraced this change, I also want to see you wearing a scarlet letter for the rest of your days. If you haven't read the novel, you should go read it, but that's what I want for you. I think it is good that you have changed and that you've seen the error every ways, but I also don't believe that you can entirely be trusted. And I do believe that that sin needs to be seen by everyone, because you voted against me, your sister. You voted against your gay brothers and sisters. You voted against your trans brothers and sisters. And all because you thought your life was going to improve. And now you've seen that your life's not going to improve. And so now you're dissatisfied. We can't be sure if it's just because you found empathy or if it's just because this isn't how you thought the shoe was going to fit. And so now you're dissatisfied with your purchase. And therefore, I want nothing but best for you. But I also want nothing but the best for us. And if I could have MAGA tattooed to your forehead for the rest of your life, I think it would do the world a service. At any rate, I wish you the very best of luck on your journey. And I hope that you live well as you can, knowing what you've contributed to.
Trump thinks he can post this picture of himself depicting Jesus, and it's just straight up blasphemy. So now Trump and the MAGA movement have officially lost all my support. Ooh. Christ is and will always be king.
Leaving MAGA is now trending on social media. Cool story, bro. So the only thing I'm thinking why people would come on social media, turn on the camera, and show people that they're leaving MAGA is because they want forgiveness. Not from this guy. Let's watch another video of somebody leaving MAGA. Watch.
What you just done with this picture right here, brother. You posed as Jesus. This is our God. This is everything to a lot of us. You see, I've had your back. I've had your back just like a man's supposed to have your back, brother. I did. Mr. President, I don't know how I can keep defending you. I don't know how I can keep defending you as a Christian, man.
Number one, you spelt "your" wrong, Matt. Number two, tell me one thing about Trump that was Christ-like. Your leaving MAGA trend isn't going to save you from us. It isn't. We're never going to forgive you. The writing was on the wall in neon lights. An open book test for you and all your little MAGA friends. And you failed miserably. The damage is done. There is no forgiveness. We definitely won't forget what you guys did. Tore families apart. Literally, including mine. I can't even talk to my mother and father about politics. I can't talk to my mother and father without them screaming at me because they're defending Donald Trump. Your vote did that. Your vote ripped families apart, including mine. You took the migrants of this country and made them the enemy of this country. Hard-working immigrants of this country. You did that, Matt. You and your vote. For everything that you and your MAGA little buddies did, there is no forgiveness. None. None. Now there's retribution. Now there's a little something I like to call revenge. You did this. You created this mess in this country. Not us. We tried to tell you. So now there has to be consequences for all of your actions. Me personally, I like the shun route. The shun route. Don't buy nothing from you people. Nothing. Take away the thing that you people love the most is money. Don't hire you people. Don't do nothing with you people. Don't let our children play with your children. In my opinion, I would put you all on an island and leave you there. So it's not over with your little video that you're making about leaving MAGA. We don't care. I don't care who you vote for. You know why? Because we've won elections without you. And we will continue to do that without you. So you and your little MAGA buddies can go piss off. Guys, tell me what you think about this in the comments. If you haven't followed me yet, please do. Have a day!
Oh, but you voted for this. We didn't, Karen, okay? We did not vote for war. We did not vote to be gaslit about the e-files, okay? We did not vote for that. Get with the times. We are all the same to them. No matter who got in office, this would have been happening because the real people running our country live in Israel. Get with the times. Come on. This is crazy. I'm never voting again, by the way, because it doesn't matter who we vote for.
Let's talk about it. I am seeing an increasing number of posts like this one or similar to this one, and I'm willing to bet you are too. She touches on several things that I think need to be discussed and be discussed bluntly. Let's talk specifically about this idea that this was not what you voted for. Yes, it was. This is exactly what you voted for. Because this man, he is not a mystery. He did not come in and just bamboozle you all. He has been on the political landscape now for over a decade, and you willingly continue to follow him, like him, support him, and put him in office, even though he said and did really horrible things. And we knew that. When people tell you this was an open book test, they mean it. This was not a secret, nefarious, backroom sort of thing. He was who he is this whole time in your face, and you liked it. You thought it was funny. You applauded it. And the reality is you were fine when his policies and his rhetoric were harmful to other people. You didn't care until it started to affect you and affect you directly at the pump and when you go to the grocery store. That is when you started to no longer be happy with what he is doing. Your caring about this is very selfish. Furthermore, I see a lot of people who are very quick now to say, oh, it's both sides. Both sides are bad. Both sides are evil. It's really just us versus the rich folks. And I gotta tell you, this is not the move. Because yes, it very much is a classist thing. That classism is only possible because of racism and the willingness of white folks to eat it up and go along with it. The only way they were able to convince you that all of your problems boil down to these immigrants coming into the country is because inherently you are racist. So you were willing to go with it. The only reason they're able to convince you that all of your problems go down to people living off of welfare and SNAP benefits is because they use your ingrained idea that that's people of color, specifically black people in the United States is what you believe. And they know that you believe that, so they're able to use your inherent racism to do their dirty work. We will never be able to get better as a society until more white people are willing to acknowledge that we are all inherently ingrained with ideas of racism and we have to deal with it and unpack it. So all of these people now coming out and saying, oh, we should get together and overthrow those in power. We're not going to be willing to join up with you guys unless you're willing to realize that a lot of what you have believed and celebrated over these years has been bad and it's been wrong. I don't want to team up with racists. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to team up with bigots of any kind. I'm not interested in that. Yes, it is the ultra elite, wealthy, and powerful who are managing to suppress all the rest of us who are not part of that social status. But their tools have been the inherent bigotry within the people they're convincing to vote for them. And until more people are willing to break that down and actually have a journey out of it, it's not going to work. This woman at the beginning shows us that right, just as she's making that video. She says, I'm never voting again because it doesn't matter anyway. That is you showing everyone that your comfort is the most important at the end of the day. And that is not waking up. That's you realizing that you weren't actually able to make your life better by standing on the necks of other individuals. So now you're pissed.
Which advice can you give these confused MAGA supporters? They are regretting why they voted for Trump. They thought they would have a better life. And now they are struggling. Tell me what you think down in the comment. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.